In this video, I want to share with you my 5 resolutions that I make every year for myself as a mum. And these are 5 habits which help to grow and challenge motherhood. And I think they can do the same for you as well. Hi, if you don't know me, my name is Sinead. I create content from homeschooling to child training, motherhood, and everything in between. So if you're new here, welcome to my channel. It is the start of January, the start of a new year. These resolutions are ones that I make every year. They are habits that I try and live by and try and stick to every day of my life. And they're ones that I think that you can sort of lose focus of with the change of life, with the more stressful time of life. I've just had a baby who is now nearly 3 months old, so it's definitely time for me to get back into really living by these habits and resolutions that I make for myself all the time. So motherhood I like to sort of treat as a career. I like to treat as a vocation that if I was getting paid for, I would like to increase that pay, year by year, because I'm worth more, because I'm increasing my skill level. I'm just increasing those things in motherhood, like patience, kindness, the ability to watch and learn, the ability to listen, the ability to take on more without being overwhelmed, the ability to know when to step back so I can rest, the ability to raise my kids, instruct my kids, discipline my kids, encourage my kids. All of that goes into motherhood, and all of that needs to be grown. And in order to grow, you need to encourage yourself, you need to challenge yourself, and you need to be able to know when you need to work on yourself. You need to have a little bit of transparency there. You need to have a little bit of self-assessment, and most importantly, you need to be honest with yourself. If you think that you're just always doing fine, and if you just think that, well, this is just these kids, and it's just this phase, and it's just our lifestyle, and it's just the way that we are, and it's just the way I am, and it's just the way we have to live right now, and I'm too busy, and I'm too tired, and it's all too hard. Sure, you can have seasons in life when those excuses are going to be okay, but not long term. And if you decide to live that way long term, then you are going to have consequences in your motherhood and with your child raising, and in your children's behavior, in your family life, in the way that you and your husband interact with each other, the time you have for each other, the time you have for yourself, the peace that you feel, the type of speech in your home. Everything is going to be affected if, as a mother, you choose not to grow. And while that can be a really harsh slap in the face for some people, it's true. And yeah, so that's out there now. I can't take it back. So let's get into the video of the first week of January of 2023. And let's talk about 5 resolutions which I am sure are going to grow and challenge you in your motherhood. Resolution 1, or habit 1 in your life to grow your motherhood, is time block your distractions. Now, I already have blog posts, and I have mentioned, I think quite frequently, that I live by an importance-based time block schedule. So I'll link that post down below, and I'm going to be doing a video on that soon, which will elaborate a lot more on how I'm able to live without being hemmed in by schedules, but how I can still get all the important things done. Now, it's very important to time block your distractions as a mum. The reason being is that for a large portion of the day, you should be available for your kids. So yes, you're still cleaning, you're still cooking, you're still doing things that a mum needs to do, but you know that in your mind, you're there for your children. So if they stop and want to talk to you, you're able to stop and listen. If they need help from you, you're able to help. If they just want to be around you and help you, you need to be in that frame of mind in order to be able to be that mum. Now, what almost always derails this entire lifestyle for a mother, which is extremely beneficial for her children and for her family as a whole, is distractions. Now, distractions can come in any shape or form. They can come with to-do lists. We all have to-do lists, and we all have things that we need to do, and some days are busier than others. So I'm not saying that you need to be dedicating 8 hours a day to your children while your house and your family are living in chaos. No. But there needs to be blocks of time, even if there's smaller blocks of time in your day, to encourage you to interact with your children, to be open and available for your children, no matter what ages they are. And your children need to sort of not be aware of this time block happening as well. And they will get used to coming to you and to wanting to be with you and asking for your help and wanting your attention in these time blocks, which are pretty natural in your day. And then they will also know when you have set times when they can go and do something on their own, when you get your bit of time on your own, or when there's time blocks when you're still there and obviously you're still a mum and you're still, you know, going to care for them. But maybe there is a time of the day when you do need to do a power clean, or when you do need to be in your kitchen, or you do need to be, you know, going out and running errands or whatever. And so they know that the structure of the day and your role in that time of the day changes. Now, time blocking your distractions is crucial. Whether your distraction is, like I said, a to-do list, a clean home, whether it's your phone, whether it's an iPad that you carry around and have YouTube going, or whether it's listening to music, whether it is doing a certain hobby like sewing or painting or whatever you like to do. Step one in time blocking your distractions is recognize your distractions. And you have to be really honest with this. You know, understand what distracts you from fulfilling your role as an attentive mother in these time blocks of your day. So for me, I'll admit, it's definitely screens. I'm constantly struggling with my screen time. I have practices and habits in place that help me to always stay in control. So that's resolution number one. Time block your distractions. Now, I know that I haven't detailed a lot, so I really suggest that you read the post on how I block schedule, because it's going to elaborate a lot more on how you can create your blocks. There's a free printable in there. You can print out and create your own blocks until you can just get used to them. They're really not very hugely schedule orientated. You're not having to do, you know, blocks of little half-hour slots or anything like that. You can choose to have 3 blocks in your day that work well for you, so that in your brain you know what you should be spending time on in that block, and leave it at that. But yes, resolution number one. Time block your distractions. Don't allow distractions to eat into your time, to eat into your day, and to eat into your motherhood. Because before you know it, weeks, months, and maybe even years can go by when you've been a constantly distracted mother. And I think that in this day and age, when distractions are just so much more prevalent now. You know, before, I'm sure like 50 years ago, yes, there was always a distracted mother, but I think it's so much easier to be distracted these days, and the distractions are just messing with our, you know, brains and our dopamine levels and our cortisol levels. They muck around with us so much. If it's screen time, or if it's things like that you struggle with, the problem is a lot more deeper than just having a phone around too often. We have to start talking about screen addiction and things like that. All right, really went off on a rant with that one. Resolution number 2. Choose action over reaction. Now, if you have been following my channel for a little while now, you might know that I am into child training. So I don't believe in, you know, that's just him and we have to deal with it. I definitely don't believe that children are just having emotional outbursts that need to be, you know, gently, you know, like coaxed out of them to get to the root emotion so that they're going to be emotionally fulfilled. No. I think the children misbehave because they learn that it gets them the things they want. And so I child train. I train my kids that they cannot misbehave in order to get the things they want. They cannot smash their brother over the head because they wanted to play with that block. That's not an emotional outburst because they feel emotional neglect. That's because they want the block and they will do anything they can to get it. And as a mum, I see it as my role to raise my children and to correct those behaviors slowly but surely with consistency, so that when they're teens and adults, that they are agreeable, they are kind, they can think of others before themselves, they're honest, that they're hard workers, that they, you know, that they're enjoyable presence for people. And I think that if we don't put in the effort as mums, not only will it affect our children and their potential for, you know, getting good jobs, for having good friends, and for raising their own successful family, I think that it helps us in the here and now, in the peace and just the general joyfulness of our own home. And so Resolution for me, number 2, is also another crucial one. It is also by far, I think, the most challenging. Now, what I mean when I say choose action over reaction is that when you have situations in your life as a mum, which is almost always going to be your children, if they're yelling, if they're angry, if you're starting to lose your patience, if your house is utter chaos, if you're frustrated, if they aren't listening to you, if you're just busy and you can't get up, which has been my situation a lot. I've been stuck breastfeeding a little baby and there's 2 toddlers just going at it, like fighting and screaming. Your reaction at first can be to raise your voice, can be to yell. And what happens is that starts off, it either can be completely normal in your home, or for me, it always creeps back in. Usually when I have a change in situation and I can't get up immediately and choose the action that I know needs to be completed in order to actually correct behavior and not just deal with the behavior right now and hope that with enough yelling, they'll stop. That's what happens. You yell more and more and more. And what happens is then your children get used to you yelling, and then you have to yell louder, more often, to keep their attention and to actually get them to listen, until eventually that doesn't work either. And you become a frustrated, defeated mum who is raising her voice all the time. And eventually too, your kids will pick up on your speech and they will start speaking to each other like that as well. For me, always the biggest wake-up call to how I'm speaking to my children is how I hear them speaking to each other. And there are times when I'm just quietly, doing the dishes or, sitting at my desk or something, and I will hear my elder children speak to each other absolutely terribly, and they'll huff and they'll puff and they'll yell, and I realize they're listening to me. And these speech patterns that they have picked up and are now using on each other, I've first seen and heard me do. So I find that it's always one of those things where it creeps in, you realize it, and then you have to, slowly but surely, with consistency, choose action over reaction. Now, I'm not going to go into a whole thing on what all my actions are because I have already done an extensive blog post series on my blog, which is called the Child Training Series. So you can read those posts. I will link them down below. You can also join the behind the scenes email series, which is going to go into a little more depth than some of the posts will if you're into that kind of thing. I didn't put everything that I do into the posts. If you're more interested in learning more, then you can join the email series, and that will take you through some of the step-by-step things that I actually do in my day. So choose action over reaction. Stop reacting to the situations in your home. You need to get up and you need to do the harder thing, and you need to do the action that it takes to fix that behavior. And you need to start taking action, because that is going to help you grow, it's going to help, and it's going to help your home in the long term. Resolution number 3, commit to listen. I think that one of the things that is hardest for me to do, and especially that I have many children, is listening, because we're busy. Everyone is busy all the time. There is always so much to do, but to sit and to listen to someone speak is extremely important, not only for you, but for the speaker, obviously. Whether you're listening to a stranger or a friend or your husband or your children, sitting down and learning how to just sit and listen and not speak is a skill, because we are always wanting to speak. We want to put in, we either don't have time and we want to say, hey, let's talk later. Which is a big one of mine that I always say to my kids, which I no longer want to be all the time. So again, I commit to listening, and I have the steps. And I want to mention that obviously all these actions and resolutions can go together, because I should have already time blocked my distractions. I know when I have time blocks available to just fully listen to my children. I've already chosen action over reaction, so I'm not frustrated, and so therefore I am in the frame of mind to listen. And now I'm going to commit to listening. When one of my children walk up to me and they want to talk, I'm going to listen, and I'm always going to make sure that they speak first, that they feel listened to, that they feel heard, that I'm not busily cutting them off, and I want to make sure that I'm always committed to that. And listening to your kids is just crucial as a mum, and it is something that you can sit and listen, and then that can spark a conversation because you've heard what they have to say. Obviously, you're not going to remain silent. You're going to talk back to them. But I think that when things get busy and when you're in that, and if you're in the wrong frame of mind, if you're constantly frustrated at your home and the people in it, and if you want children who feel like that you genuinely care about what they have to say, then you have to learn to listen. Now, sometimes you're just going to have to fake it until you make it kind of situation. And what I mean by that is you're not faking listening. If you do that, your kids are going to notice, and you've really just severed that whole thing, and there's no point in doing this. What I mean is that you're going to have to, even though you really don't feel it, you're going to have to just sit and tell yourself, right, I'm going to give this 5 minutes. You know, and when you have different situations with your kids, unless they're in their teens, they don't really come and talk to you for hours at a time. It's not like you're having to listen to these long, lengthy, you know, thought processes. They're little, and even when they're young, and even if they are in their early teens, they're going to come to you, chat to you for 5 to 10 minutes, and they're probably going to go away. If you're like me and you have multiple children, the prospect of listening to all of them all day, especially if you're a bit tired or if you've got lots to do, can put you in an already defeated frame of mind. But you're a mother, and those children, if you want your children to continue to come to you, if you want them to come to you when they're teens, when they're adults, when they're having problems, then you need to be that safe person now, and you need to practice now. You cannot become the person that they need when you realize that you want to be that person because you see that they suddenly need it. You should have already been that person to them for their whole lives. And it's a lot harder than it sounds to just listen. So I urge you to just practice, to try and think of situations where you've shut down active listening, or that you just do actively listen, and really practice honing that skill with everyone that you meet. And you will find too that not only is it just greatly beneficial for everyone that you meet who feels listened to, it's really good for you too, because you might realize how much you actually speak without needing to. All right. Resolution number 4, read to your kids before bed. This one here for me is definitely the most, I would say, physically challenging when I have a lot of kids and they're young. And it is one that I do forego probably first, even though I don't want to. And that is, reading to my kids before bed. When I'm in control of my days, and when I am, when I don't have a newborn and things like that, and the nighttime routine can get extremely hectic, then I will read to my kids before bed every night. And again, it doesn't have to be this long process. It doesn't have to be a half an hour book, and that you can sort of get your children to know that, hey, this is 10 minutes. We're all going to sit and gather and read a book, and then we're all going to go to bed. And not only is it great for your nighttime routine, for calmness, for helping your children sleep, for helping them, you can also read a good book, and they can sort of go to bed thinking about that book, and it just gives them something to tone their thoughts to when they're laying down, and you know, just having that quiet time to themselves. But it also is just, for me, it's a great memory that I want my children to have of me, and that takes dedication from me now. That takes dedication. It takes me accepting the challenge. It takes me being willing to feel tired and to feel like I don't really want to do it because let's face it, at the end of the day, there are some days when I just could not be bothered, when I just want to sit on the couch, or I just want to keep cleaning because I just know that needs to be done, or I've got a crying baby who needs to be dealt with. And so stopping and reading to my kids at night is not the easiest and sometimes not the most enjoyable task. But the more I challenge myself to take this on, the more committed I become to it. And I think it's a great habit and a great skill to have as a mum, because I just think that having those grounding habits in your life for both you and your children is greatly beneficial for your motherhood. And I read to my kids during the day, and we homeschool together, and we spend all our time together because we're all home all the time. But reading to them before bed at night is just adds that little extra, I suppose, just comfort and just that niceness to our home. And it's one we all enjoy. Now, I'm not going to lie, it is one that I am currently not doing. Like, I intend to start in the first week of January, because I have just had a baby, and she had the worst witching hours ever. They just went for hours every night. And so my ability to read to my kids was really just not there. And being that it was just more stressful too on my husband at that time of day, and he was getting home from work late and everyone's tired and exhausted, I knew where to draw the line with that habit. All right, resolution number 5, the last one, and it is get up before your kids. This is said by a lot of people, if not almost everyone. And, you know, we all sort of know, yes, get up before your kids because you should. But it's hard in certain seasons of life. I'm right there. It is very difficult to get up before your children during certain seasons. When I had morning sickness and when I had a newborn, I am not prioritizing getting up, you know, much earlier than my kids because I need sleep, and I know that overall sleep is going to affect my stress levels. It's going to affect my ability to, you know, recover after having a baby. There are a lot of aspects of sleep which we need, and of course if you're if you're in that season where, you know, there's a lot more physically and mentally going on in your life and you know that you need that extra bit of sleep, then have it. But if you can, even if it just means waking 30 minutes earlier than your kids, I suggest that you do. And I have been waking up the last few days earlier than my children, and the change in my mental capability to take on the rest of the resolutions that I have set out is phenomenal. Now, when you get up early, don't get up and just start the to-do list of the day earlier and just immediately launch into the day. Stop and do something, even if it's just for a few minutes, that actually helps your mental clarity and to helps your mental, you know, well-being. Starting the day positively is, I think, a super important aspect of motherhood. Kind of reminds me of the saying, which I don't really live by at all, but, you know, like happy wife, happy life. But it's, you know, I just think that it should be referred to mums. If the mum is happy, but not made happy by others, you know, you shouldn't have to be made happy by somebody else in order to be a nice person. I think you should be able to take charge of your own mental health. And as a mum, you need to be able to do that in small, you know, if you want to maintain good mental health and positivity and just general sort of well-being and happiness, then you need to be taking small steps. And those small steps may take some sacrifice on the other end. Like if you're going to get up early, you have to go to bed earlier, otherwise you're going to be permanently tired. And that's not going to help anyone either. This whole idea that mothers should be like permanently exhausted, just don't buy into that. If you become permanently exhausted, you're only going to become depleted in all your vitamins and minerals. You're probably going to get sick. You're going to lose all your joy. You're going to always feel like you're behind. You're going to feel overwhelmed. And it's generally just not healthy for your brain or your body. You're probably going to start gaining weight. You're probably going to start losing hair. You know, there are so many aspects to being an exhausted mum, which I think is just this play on going, oh, well, don't mums just have it so hard? But yes, we do have it hard, but you don't have to be that way. There are seasons in life when you should prioritize sleep. There are seasons in life when you just need to prioritize going to bed earlier so that you can get up earlier, so that you can have some mental time to yourself, whether it's having a quiet coffee like I do, whether it's getting exercise in, whether it's just puttering around in the kitchen in the quiet, which is what you need at the start of the day. This resolution or this habit in your life, in your mothering, will grow you, I think, exponentially, because it allows you to overcome any feeling of overwhelm or being defeated. Because when you wake up earlier than your kids and when you have some time for some mental clarity, you can feel in control of your days. You feel in control of what you're going to take on. And yes, some days get totally hectic and you can lose control of them, but to know that you're going to get up the next day, you're going to be able to have that quiet time in the morning again. And it's not just this constant running and just chasing your kids, and that, you know, they're up before you, you're waking up to hungry mouths and dirty faces and nappies that need to be changed, and, you know, immediately launching into cooking breakfast, cleaning the house because we have to go somewhere, and the to-do list, which you don't have much time for because you're up too late and you don't have time to get ready for the day. Your bed's not made, your room is filthy, you know, there are so many things that you don't have time to do. Dinner's probably late, you're going to bed too late. You're always tired anyway. What's the point of that? What's the point of embracing that lifestyle? And it is a lifestyle that I really, really dislike. And sometimes I do find myself in that lifestyle, and it is not nice. You feel out of control, and your ability to take on any of the resolutions, like time blocking your distractions, like committing to listen, like action not reaction, and reading to your kids before bed, all of those become extremely challenging, and they're already challenging in themselves. So resolution number 5. Wake up before your kids, even if it's just by 30 minutes, even if it's just by 10 minutes at first, and then you just creep it by 10 minutes at a time. Do something that can put you into that mental positivity, so I greatly encourage you to get that resolution in and try, and if you don't already, then start working on that one. So that's it for me today. That's my 5 resolutions. That's what I'm going to be working on for this year. These are ones that I take every year. These are ones, if you like, I have the blog post that corresponds with this YouTube video, 5 resolutions to help you grow your motherhood. I'll link it down below. Inside is a free printable which you can use, which you can just download on your phone, or you can print it out and keep it somewhere where you're going to see it. And it has the 5 habits, and it also has ways that you can implement each one. Or if you want to take them on one at a time, you can write down which one you're going to do from which date. It's all there on the printable. So my name is Sinead. I am the creator behind thesimplemama.com. And if you like this video, then hit the like button. If you want to see more, then hit the subscribe button. I am a 2nd generation homeschooler. I have 6 children of my own, and I am posting here on YouTube every week. So until next time, bye. Whatever you like to do. Yes, honey?
Mom?
Yes?
Yes. I want to have a toast.
Egg on toast?
I want to make.
Okay, well, you hop out, you go and play, and I'll make you an egg and toast in a minute, alright? Now, time blocking, so you